Microaggressions, a pretty loaded term. Originally, the term was used specifically to describe the experiences of Black people. However, the use of the term has since widened, and it's now used to describe the feelings of marginalization and exclusion that people of many different identities can feel in their everyday interactions. Now, there is a lot of debate around this term, so what does it really mean and what can we learn from it? Generally, it refers to a behavior that makes someone feel uncomfortable and specifically excluded because of their race, gender, or other identity. What distinguishes a microaggression from a flat-out aggression is that microaggressions are usually done or said unintentionally. The person who commits a microaggression often does so without realizing it. It could be an observation like, "You don't look Hispanic," or "You're Asian, right?" or "You don't seem gay." Those kinds of comments assume that people of a specific group all act or behave or look a certain way. A microaggression could also be a very common phrase like "man up," said in a meeting, which just suggests that men are more capable or stronger or more intelligent than any other gender. A friend of mine who was born in the US to Indian immigrant parents is often asked by people, "Where are you from?" assuming that she comes from some other far-off land. To which she loves to respond, "New Jersey." People are making assumptions about her origin, her identity, the language she speaks, just based on her skin color and the way she looks. Though these may seem like small or harmless or innocuous phrases, they actually have big impact on the people who experience them. In the case of my friend from New Jersey, she feels like people are constantly questioning her identity. She feels that she has to always talk about her origin or her family in situations or with people where it doesn't really feel relevant or appropriate to that specific conversation. So we see that microaggressions can take many forms. They're often said completely unintentionally, and they're very common. And this last point is what researchers argue makes them especially harmful. Psychologists and other researchers have found that microaggressions have a large impact both on mental health and increasingly physical health, driving up rates of stress and anxiety, those little things that make our day jobs and our lives a lot harder. And this is one of the reasons why researchers argue women and people of color are reporting less interest in wanting to come back to the office after so much time in remote work. Because being able to avoid those little but pretty harmful microaggressions that happen at the water cooler or in the hallway allows them to have a calmer, more productive, and overall more pleasant working experience. Now, the controversy around this term. Some love it because they argue that it brings attention to all the ways, subtle and overt, that people can feel marginalized or excluded throughout their everyday. But there's also a lot of criticism of the term from different angles. On the one hand, some really roll their eyes and say that this is people being overly sensitive and we're criticizing too much. However, another angle argues that the term's actually not strong enough to describe the harm that it inflicts on people who experience microaggressions. Using that term micro in front of the word aggression makes the impact seem smaller than it's proven to be. Whether you agree with the term or not, the concept is important, that many commonplace phrases and assumptions we make people feel uncomfortable. And it's best to be aware of them and the impact they have. And even more importantly, even if you yourself aren't the one committing microaggressions or saying these phrases unknowingly, be aware that your colleagues of color and colleagues of other underrepresented groups most likely experience these microaggressions all day long. And it can be pretty exhausting. So, what can you do about microaggressions? How can you avoid committing them? And how can you help your colleagues who may be experiencing them on a very regular basis? First, learn about them. You'll probably be surprised how frequently they come up, how common they can be, and how many you probably didn't even realize may be offensive. Talk to people who are close to you and who'd feel comfortable, perhaps sharing their own experiences of microaggressions. Hear firsthand accounts of what they're like and how they feel. Also, be aware that not everyone experiences the same microaggression in the same way. One person may feel offended by something that doesn't offend another person at all. That can feel complex, but it's not. Just respect everybody's individual experience. If you unknowingly commit a microaggression or cause harm, always apologize. no matter what your intention was. And if you see or witness someone experiencing a microaggression, consider saying something, either to the person who committed it, suggesting that what they said may have been interpreted as harmful, or to the person you saw experience the microaggression, letting them know that you saw that, you didn't agree with it, you support them, and you want to make sure they're okay. So those are a few simple things you can do to learn about microaggressions and respond to them. And check out the links included here for a deeper dive on the topic, on examples, and on exactly what you can do to help change the way we experience the workplace.